Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing another champions report. I do these every couple months, just kind of update you on all the champions in each of the governing bodies. Today, we're going to be discussing the WBO, the World Boxing Organization. We'll go over every fighter from 122 all the way to heavyweight, and that's 12 divisions. You know, those are the 12 divisions that I mainly follow. And you know, we'll just give you updates on what's going on with those belts and those champions who hold those belts. So we're going to start at 122 pounds super bantamweight, and that's undefeated Stephen Bolton Jr., who got some good news that September 11th, he's lined up to return to defend and to attempt to unify belts against the winner of undefeated Luis Neri and undefeated Brandon Figueroa, who collide on May 15th on Showtime. So that's big news right there. Fulton's coming off a big win, beating Angelo Leo to capture the title, and now he has a chance to unify belts right on top of that. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal right there. And Stephen Bolton should be lined up. So by the next champions report, which should take place towards the end of June, that fight should be locked and sealed, or on its way to being locked and sealed, but we'll keep you posted and let you know. 126 pounds, the champion is Emmanuel Navarrete, who just this past weekend successfully defended his title with an absolutely fantastic performance and 12th round TKO of former world title challenger Christopher Diaz. You know, I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a firefight, but Navarrete really looked at his best. This is the best he looked, in my opinion, since his knockout victory of Isaac Dogbe, who he also stopped in the 12th round. He put this guy down, Diaz down 4 times. Diaz kept coming. He was a grinder. He kept trying to do something, but Navarrete just too good. Can hit from so many different angles, and that was a big win. So we don't know what's going to happen next. We know Top Rank has quite a bit of selections at featherweight, but we just got to see who's available and who wants to do what. I don't think by the next champions report we'll know, but hopefully we get some kind of rumor on what he could be doing next. 130, the champion is Jemele Herring of the United States. Well, Herring also at the beginning of April just scored his career best win, a fantastic 6th round knockout of former 2-division champion Carl Frampton, as Herring retained the title. But, prior to the fight and after, prior to the fight, we knew that Shakur Stevenson was a mandatory #1 contender, and there was a lot of talk that Herring would likely not face his friend Stevenson in a mandatory defense. He'd rather face Oscar Valdez. Well, Herring's got a decision to make, and it's coming up fast. Right after that fight, that following week, the WBO gave him 30 days to start negotiating with Shakur Stevenson. And he keeps saying that he'd rather fight Oscar Valdez. Well, Bob Arum just yesterday came out and said Valdez is going to fight somebody else, likely in August. And I think he said August. And that leaves pretty much Herring asked out, because a lot of people are projecting Herring to give up that belt, and Stevenson would fight Jeffrey, I believe, not the Beulah, on June 12th on ESPN for the vacant title. But where does that leave Herring? Well, if he gives up his belt and decides to move to lightweight and go after Teofimo Lopez next, he can do that, and he can move straight into a mandatory shot and either fight Lopez or fight for the vacant title at lightweight. I really think that's probably going to be what he does. That's where I'm leaning, unless he decides he wants to come back and just wait around for Herring. But right now, it's not a slam dunk, and I'm not sure if Bob Arum wants to risk Valdez against Herring when he could make a big fight with Valdez and Shakur Stevenson to unify belts later in the year. So Herring might end up moving up to lightweight, and that's what right now I would predict that's what he's going to do, and we should know by the next champions report for sure what's going to go on with that. 135 is lightweight, where the champion is the undefeated and undisputed champion Teofimo Lopez. Lopez is defending all 4 of his belts on Saturday, June 5th in the main event of a Triller pay-per-view, when he takes on his undefeated IBF mandatory #1 contender George Kambosos Jr. I think Lopez is going to dominate Kambosos and stop him. and retain all 4 belts. The question is he going to hold on to all 4 of those titles afterwards? Does he plan to stay at lightweight for another fight, or will he move up to junior welterweight, 140, and challenge possibly Josh Taylor or Jose Ramirez? We really don't know. By the next Champions Report, we should have some kind of idea of what Lopez is going to do. Granted, he beats George Kambosos on June 5th in the main event of that Triller pay-per-view, which I think he will. 140, the champion there is the undefeated unified champ, Jose Ramirez of Fresno, California. I'm actually in that area right now. I'm coming up on Visalia. Jose Ramirez is good to go Saturday, May 22nd, main event, ESPN. He's taking on Josh Taylor, the undefeated unified WBA and IBF champion, as they try to decide the only 6th ever undisputed world champion in any weight class in the 4-belt era of the last 30 years. So, big time action, big time fight right here. It's going to be a good one. Saturday, May 22nd on ESPN. My prediction on that fight is I think Josh Taylor is going to beat Ramirez, but I definitely think Ramirez is a live underdog. He has a chance to pull this one off. Should be a good one. Saturday, May 22nd, ESPN. And by the next Champions Report, hopefully, we will know who the new champion or still champion is of the WBO. 147 welterweight. The champion is the undefeated Terrence Bud Crawford. Disappointing news that I want to say it was Saudi Arabia could not come up with the money to pay for the Crawford and Pacquiao fight. They looked like they were right there. Pacquiao even signed on for the fight, but Crawford refused once he heard that the money wasn't going to be there to do the fight. So it doesn't look like Crawford and Pacquiao is going to happen after all. Disappointing. Hopefully we hear something new about Crawford and what he's doing by the next Champions Report. I really hope so. 154, champion there is the undefeated Brian Castano, who got the great news just last week that July 17th, main event, Showtime, he is going to challenge for the undisputed Super Welterweight Championship of the world. By that time, should be the only 7th man in the 30-year 4-belt era to unify all 4 titles in a weight class. He'll be the first guy at 154 to do it if he can beat Jermell Charlo. Charlo, the very good unified champion. This is a battle of the number 1 and number 2 fighter. Should be good. By the next Champions Report, we should know all the undercard information. Again, that fight's not taking place till July 17th, the main event of Showtime card. Okay, 160, middleweight. The champion there is the undefeated Demetrius Andre. Andre just returned to action a couple weeks back and took on Liam Williams of the United Kingdom. Dominated him. Well, not dominated, but he outboxed him, outclassed him over 12 rounds. Got a clean decision, but kind of an uneventful decision on his part. He knocked Williams down early. Looked like he could finish him, but in typical Andre fashion, doesn't put his foot on the gas pedal to win a fight. And, he did okay, got the win, but unimpressively. And Liam Williams looks sharp. We don't know what Andre's going to do next. A lot of people are thinking he's going to move up to 168, but who's going to want to fight him at 168? At the very least, if he does that, he can move in line. He could actually vacate his belt and become the number 1 contender for the WBO belt at 168 if he wants to. And he could be in line to fight the winner of Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders. But, that probably wouldn't happen until after Canelo becomes undisputed champion, or is attempting to become an undisputed champion in September. So, but the thing is I think Andre would wait around for that. So he might be angling that way to try to pull something like that. So I'm leaning towards he's probably going to move up in weight. We should know something by the next Champions Report. 175, light heavyweight. Champion there, American Joe Smith Jr. just captured the title this past, and I believe it was March. He defeated Maxim Vlasov in a spirited contest. They went back and forth in that fight. It was pretty good matchup. Joe Smith walked out with a close majority decision victory and is now the new world champion. So big win for him. That was actually April 10th. I'm sorry. The question now is is he going to attempt to unify belts against Arthur Beterbiev? A lot of people think that's going to be his next fight, unifying titles. they're both in optional mode and the fight makes sense. So I'm leaning towards that fight's going to happen. I hope we know a little more clearly by the next Champions Report if that's the case or not, because that's a big deal. 200 cruiserweight champion there is the undefeated Lawrence Okolie. Now, Lawrence Okolie captured the title in March when he dominated and one punch knocked out Krzysztof Kowalski. Straight right hand, knocked him out cold, and captured his first world title. Now, after the fight, he called out IBF champion and World Boxing Super Series winner Maris Briedis, #1 cruiserweight in the world. He called him out. Briedis said he'd be interested, and just recently he said, hey, Briedis is the best cruiserweight in the world, and I want to fight him. So we're going to see if this fight is possible. Briedis said he's interested. You know, Okolie's obviously interested. We're going to see if these two guys can unify belts, and that would be a big deal, and I hope it happens. So hopefully by the next Champions Report, we got an update on that. And then finally, the heavyweight title, currently held by the undefeated unified champion, Anthony Joshua. Joshua holds the WBA and IBF titles as well. We know Joshua is fighting Tyson Fury, the undefeated WBC champion. They're going to declare an undisputed heavyweight champion when they get that fight locked in. Right now, they're still deciding on a site fee. It looks like they are both going to make $75 million apiece, but we don't know for sure. But Eddie Hearn has come out and said this fight is 100% happening. He said it's going to be at the end of July, early August possibly, and we all know a rematch is supposed to be in the contract. An immediate rematch is supposed to be in the contract between the two. So hopefully by the next Champions Report at the end of June, we have this fight locked in stone and ready to go for July. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. That's the Champions Report for the World Boxing Organization. A lot going on, a lot of big news. WBO is getting better now that they have fully got rid of all the titles being vacant. We're going to see some unified champs. We're going to see a couple more undisputed champions. And, you know, it's exciting. So, exciting day in boxing, especially, and for the WBO, who's on the rise again. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing. You've been here with the truth.